The Wild Wild West is just one of those shows that defies description. Trying to explain the premise of this program causes many to dismiss the show as too silly, not worth their time. That said, those that haven't seen this crazy show starring Robert Conrad and Ross Martin as U.S. Secret Service agents during the administration of President Ulysses S. Grant are really missing out. And as good as Conrad and Martin were, this guy, actor Michael Dunn, he was even better. Dunn played a crazy and utterly insane genius named Dr. Miguelito Loveless. As with any really good bad guy, he had a great backstory. His family had been taken advantage of by the U.S. government, or so he felt. Land that was destined to belong to the Loveless family was lost when California was granted statehood. Over the course of 10 episodes across 4 seasons, Dr. Loveless did his very best to exact sweet revenge. Of course, these efforts were always thwarted by Jim and Artie. I have to say that I really loved the character of Dr. Loveless. Dunn played him with such zeal. All good villains are full of enthusiasm and righteous indignation, and Loveless was no exception to that rule. Dunn himself was every bit the actor that Robert Conrad and Ross Martin were. He held his own against these two great talents, and those that know his history understand why that isn't all that surprising. From a very young age, Michael Dunn, born Gary Miller, was something of a child prodigy. Born with dwarfism, Dunn never let that affect how he saw himself. Of course, much of that had to do with very supportive parents, but it was also his infectious smile, the way he embraced life, his willingness to laugh at adversity and never ever let anything slow him down. And while he may not have been a genius at the same level of Dr. Loveless, Dunn was incredibly smart, learning to read and play piano at a very early age, somewhere around the age of 3, I'm told. Really, 3 years old? Holy crap, I don't think I could count to 10 when I was 3. As he got older, academics proved less exciting for Dunn than the creative arts. Michael loved to sing and perform and looked for every available opportunity to do so. After a brief stint in college and an even briefer stint studying Catholicism in a monastery, Michael made the decision to go for broke. He believed in himself, and he knew that if he could just get a chance, he could break into show business in a big way. Somewhere along the way, Dunn met Phoebe Doran. According to Wikipedia, the two began singing together and eventually started a nightclub act of songs mixed with conversational patter titled Michael Dunn and Phoebe. When Dunn was cast as Dr. Loveless, it only made sense that Phoebe would join him as Dr. Loveless's devoted assistant, Antoinette. In each episode in which they appeared, the villainous couple would tenderly sing a Victorian duet or two, ignoring the mayhem that they'd created around themselves. Okay, now I get to share the first heroic act of courage attributed to the man who played Dr. Loveless. According to Doran, Dunn saved her from drowning during the filming of an episode titled The Night of the Murderous Spring. When her costume became entangled in machinery used to sink a boat on the set, Michael plunged underwater to tear her free. Whether or not it was truly a life or death situation for Doran isn't really the point. Who knows, maybe she could have broken free on her own. What is the point is that Dunn didn't pause for a second to think about his size or whether or not he had the strength to save her. He just knew that he had to act. But there's more that we can say about this man. Dr. Loveless is portrayed by Dunn as one of the all-time great villains. Decades later, when the great Shakespearean actor Kenneth Branagh took a stab at Loveless in the feature film version of the show, it became even more clear just what a wonderful character Dunn had created during the show's original run. And of course, there were other memorable television performances by Dunn outside of the Wild Wild West. One of my favorites was on the original Star Trek TV series in an episode titled Plato's Stepchildren. Aside from Dunn's great performance as a court jester, this episode is also notable for Kirk and Uhura's kiss. Not much of a big deal now, but way back then, this simple act of interracial affection was pretty darn controversial. But enough about that, let's talk about Dunn's ongoing act of kindness, which resulted from the hundreds of letters that he would get from kids who were dealing with similar challenges as his own. In those letters, children would tell Michael about how lonely or discouraged they were. And it would have been easy for Michael to have someone send a signed picture or a form letter back to the kids, and I'm sure at times that may have happened, but many times Michael would either write the child back personally, or if he was close enough, he would visit the child in person. He knew what they were going through, and he wanted them to see that even though it wouldn't always be easy, they could rise above. They could achieve their dreams. On August 30th, 1973, Michael died in his sleep while filming a movie in London at the age of 38. Due to his dwarfism, he had a distorted rib cage that restricted his lung growth and function. The resulting respiratory insufficiency caused an overload of his heart's right chamber. His life was a short one, but it was meaningful in that he brought joy to everyone that he ever came in contact with. And for those of us who only knew him through our TV screens, it's good to know that there was so much more to this man than the villainous character that he played to perfection on the Wild Wild West. Alright, here's one last pick. It's that maniacal smile, I think, that really set Dunn apart from your standard run-of-the-mill villain. Simply put, Dr. Loveless was the bomb. Great, great memories. Okay, now it's your turn. Share your memories in the comments section, and if you liked this video, I would truly appreciate a thumbs up, a share on Facebook or Twitter, and what the heck, why not consider subscribing to my channel? I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching.